Lawrence Wampong Rekon is a private legal practitioner. He's been following this case quite closely right from 2018 when this matter started playing out up until today. He's joining us on the telephone, on Zoom, beg your pardon, right now. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Hello, lawyer, can you hear us?
Good evening, Alfred.
Great. And I appreciate you joining us this evening. I mean, whether or not William Ato Essien is guilty or otherwise, and whether he has to be freed, that will be determined by the court, is it not? Beyond the appeals and the comparison that's been made, isn't it?
First of all, good evening to your cherished viewers. Yes, Alfred, that is the case. He has filed a notice of appeal at the Court of Appeal. So the Court of Appeal will look at the case, and based on the merit of the grounds of appeal that he has filed, they will determine whether the trial court decision should be set aside or otherwise.
So the grounds of appeal is the catch. That's what to look out for, because as Dennis pointed out, he had pleaded, and there was a plea bargain arrangement, and which he had agreed to pay a 90 million cedis. But we don't know the full details of what exactly went into that, because then the plea bargain doesn't necessarily mean that he was then pleading guilty to said offenses, reason why he agreed to pay that amount. If so, then what is he appealing now?
Yes, Alfred, thank you for the question. I believe he's appealing the judgment based on what they have found wrong with the judgment of the court. Yes, it's a fact that initially he pleaded not guilty, as earlier on stated. However, during the trial, he changed his plea from not guilty to guilty, and certain arrangement was reached. They went into a settlement. However, he was unable to fulfill the settlement by paying the 90 million as already stated. And based on it, a custodial sentence was effected on him by sentencing him to 15 years imprisonment with hard labor. And after serving a couple of months, he has filed a notice of appeal, and he believes in his case. So I believe once there's a notice of appeal before the Court of Appeal, we should just be patient and wait and see what the learned justices will say about it.
Now, how do you see this case proceeding from this moment, taking into consideration what you have just pointed out, the grounds of appeal, and then also how many months he has served out of the 15 years that he was slapped with?
Yes, Alfred. Yes, today we all heard that he has been granted bail pending the appeal. And I believe he was granted bail based on his health conditions, as we've been told. And like I stated earlier on radio, the appellate court has the discretion to grant bail to any convict pending appeal based on certain principles which guides the court. And I believe based on the affidavit that they filed, the court looked at it, the evidence before the court, and they felt that it was right for them to grant Mr. William Ato Essien bail. For the appeal itself, there's going to be what we call compilation of the records at the trial court, that is the High Court. After the compilation, same will be transmitted to the Court of Appeal. It is at the point where the Court of Appeal is seized with all the records from the trial court that they will summon the parties, that is the prosecution, which is the Attorney General, and Mr. William Ato Essien. Then they will be given further directions on when to file their written submissions. Then the response from Attorney General. Then a date will be set down when the court will give its judgment based on the argument, the written submissions made by both, parties. So for that, it will be unfair for me to make any statement, because I have not even seen the grounds of appeal, but we know that they filed one.
And how prominent will his health condition be in the scheme of things? taking into consideration the grounds of appeal as well, as we have seen now?
The grounds of appeal is distinct from his health conditions. The health conditions only comes in when the court is considering the bail application pending appeal. But for the grounds, they are the grounds that the convict, through his lawyer, feels that the trial court, that is the high court that tried the matter and convicted and sentenced him, if they find that there was some kind of miscarriage of justice, whether the judge erred in law or the facts were not applied properly, they will look at all those things. Those becomes the grounds. Then based on the grounds, they will come up with their written submission, which will meet the grounds that they have filed. Then the court will consider whether the grounds under which they are appealing the judgment is meritorious or otherwise.
I see.
It has nothing to do with his health condition. His health condition only comes in at the bail application. Because when you look at, you see, when it comes to bail pending appeal, the court has a discretion to grant it. But it is one which is not usually granted. The reason being that the convict has gone through a trial and has been convicted and sentenced. So when a court grants such a prisoner bail pending appeal, and it happens that the appeal does not become successful, what it means is that the republic, that is the state, would have lost, because this is a person that a court has tried over maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, and was found guilty and sentenced. Then you let him go on bail. Then later, it comes out that indeed the appeal is unsuccessful. Then he's been at home a year or two, because sometimes it takes time. The appeal records itself, compilation of the records can take about, depending on the witnesses, the document, and everything involved, it can take about a year, 6 months to 1 year. So look at all this time, 6 months to 1 year. Then the appeal itself, when it gets to the court of appeal, it can also take about a year or more for the decision of the court of appeal to come out. So if you let such a person go home and spend like 2-3 years, only to later find out that the judgment of the trial court was one which was meritorious, then it means that the state, will be shortchanged. And that is why the courts are reluctant in granting bail pending appeal. But it's one that is available to every convict. So the conversation that, Mr. Ato Essien was granted the bail pending appeal because he is a rich, no, that is wrong. This bail pending appeal has been granted to, it has been used by a lot of people, ordinary Ghanaians.
But then again, you underscore the fact that, yes, it's been used, but you underscore the fact that this is not unusual, but it is not a regular occurrence in the courts for one to be given or granted bail pending appeal, especially because, as you have just stated, the appeal could fail. But then again, the person would have been at home, on bail 1, 2, 3 years, or for however long the appeal process will take. What is the consequence of this, if it so happens?
Yes, but before that, let me say this, and I come back to your question. Right. The flip side is also correct. If the appeal succeeds, then you keep the person in prison for 2-3 years. So in this instance, he's serving a 15 years jail term. So if his appeal is going to succeed, and it's going to take, let's say, about 3-4 years, before the Court of Appeal comes out with its decision, what this will mean is that he would have also suffered 4 years, which is unjustifiable. So it is also one of the grounds that the court will look at. They also look at the grounds, as I mentioned. So if they find the grounds to be one that they see that there's reasonable prospect of success, it is one ground that, based on it, they can also grant what? Bail pending appeal. Now, back to your question. Yes, if it does happen that he's on bail now, the Court of Appeal decisions comes out, and it is one that is not in his favor, what it means is that he will go back to jail. He has not been left off. Let me put it that way. He is still a prisoner. He is just on bail pending the appeal. So it is not the case as if Mr. Ato Essien is no more a prisoner. He is still a prisoner. He has just been granted bail pending the appeal based on his health conditions.
I see. But will the appeal in any way, maybe a quick one, impact on the balance of the 90 million so agreed under this plea bargain for which he couldn't meet, reason why he was slapped with this 15-year jail term?
I stand to be corrected, but per my understanding, reading the whole situation, I don't see the 90 million to be the issue now, because he entered into a plea bargain, as you earlier said, and couldn't fulfill it. And instead of that, he was imposed with a custodial sentence, and he's appealing against that.
Yes.
So it has nothing to do. Yes, the 90 million can be an issue where he will make the case, as was earlier stated by your producer, that he paid 37 million out of the 90. And he could make the case that the sentence of 15 years is harsh and excessive. It's one that he can make per his grounds of appeal. I have not seen it, but it's one that he can make. Or the other grounds that may be considering the weight of evidence on record, he thinks that he shouldn't have been found even guilty in the first place. But what is intriguing about this is where he changed his plea from not guilty to guilty. That is where we all wait to see how this will play out, because I've not seen the grounds that he is appealing.
And I do appreciate your analysis of this. Thank you so much. Lawrence Boampong Wireko is a private legal practitioner. I appreciate you joining us tonight. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.